Moonlit Rollercoaster just got a massive nerf, and looks like we have a cool crossover coming this week. Let's begin. Let's talk about what we got last week. Last week we got the big Thanksgiving event that came with a ton of different content for you guys to consume. The Thanksgiving event was named Lisa's Day at the Carnival. If you log in, you'll be able to get a 40% discount card off of a skin that you can use on the crossover that's currently out right now, the BSD crossover, a 50% off a character, along with some other rewards, and the 5th Wish portrait that is a nice one that's based around the kind of Thanksgiving event. If you complete matches, you can also receive a portrait frame, a B tier unlock card that is permanent. You could get an emote unlock card, a ranking protection card, multiple ones actually, and dynamic portraits and some more rewards as well. So make sure that if you haven't already logged in that you get onto doing it right now because there's tons of content out already. Along with this event, we also got all characters available for you to play, so that's kind of nice. I like it when they do that because it means I get to experiment with some other characters. And they also made it so if you participate in matches and complete missions, you can receive a special pet that is, I think, supposed to be unique. I'm not sure if it's limited, but it's the Cipher Machine pet. That's an A tier pet, very fancy indeed. Something else they brought back Frenzy Rhapsody, the dodgeball mode, and of course they also bring along the events for Chasing Shadows, Tarot Crystal Ball mode, and for Frenzy Rhapsody, so you can get all of the rewards from those events that haven't been back since the games were first released. It's also nice to see Frenzy Rhapsody back because they added a new change to it. They kind of adjusted some of the balance of it and stuff like that, but they also added the Sniper Ball, which is a longer range and has 3 charge phases where you can kind of hit people really quickly from all the way across the map. Kind of crazy, but you can't do any kind of fancy tricks with it. You have to kind of hit them like a sniper. Tons of skins returned to the store. We had skins for Violinist, BQ, Mercenary, Mind's Eye, Nightmare, Doctor, Acrobat, and Wu Chang returning, along with the accessories for these skins as well. And as well, there were some Survivor emotes that returned and some special Spyglass packages, because in the Spyglass store, we got the return of 4 different chase music, 2 for Survivor and 2 for Hunter. We also got some more emotes that returned and some standby motions as well. And to match the Wu Chang skin that's in the main store, we got the Sun and Moon accessory for Spyglasses only, you can get essentially for free. With this last update, NetEase went really crazy with adding in some optimizations and some quality of life options for everyone that we've been asking for quite a few years now. They added a way of filtering portraits and frames by adding the like function, so you can now like your favorite portrait frame and your favorite portrait. When you're scrolling through your massive amount of collection that you have, you can find them easier because they will be at the top. And you can also do that for graffitis too, so your favorite graffitis can be at the top when you want to go and give them to a new character. They've added new filters for costumes, so skins technically, you can now filter by rarity. You can now finally kind of organize your friends a little bit better now because you can pin them to the top of your list, so that's really nice. It means that you can easily find your friends when you're trying to kind of add them for a match. They've added a hide like notification when after a match you usually get likes from people and it will give you a red dot in your kind of profile. Now you can get rid of that, so now you won't receive any like notifications. And they added tons of other different smaller things that are less important but kind of interesting as well. Last week, they also revealed Composer's abilities. We now know what he can do. He is a beat-themed character where you decode and you have to press the buttons in the right times to be able to decode faster. He doesn't get normal calibrations. The more combos that he gets, the more stacks he gets, the faster he decodes. Up to a maximum of 18.7 he can get to. He's a 118.7 decoding survivor. He also has an ability that gives him a speed boost with a 50-second cooldown that you also have to hit the beats to be able to get the speed boosts, but technically he's actually faster than a hunter when he does this. So this is really cool and really satisfying to play. So if you want to see that kind of change, then you need to go and check my recent stream that I've done. I'll probably link it up above. If not, you can find it on my main channel. I'm really looking forward for you guys to see him in game and play him yourself because he's an interesting character. I think he's one of the most balanced characters they've released for a really long time, so this is exciting. Let's talk about what we're going to be getting this week. Well, we got quite a lot of content coming out this week, especially considering we're getting all of those adjustments that we've been speaking about for the past few weeks. But first, the most impactful thing, maybe the most kind of visual thing that you guys will notice, is that we're getting the Project Zero 2 crossover, also known as Fatal Frame 2. That is a game that was on the PS2 back in 2002 or 2003. This crossover is going to be bringing 2 skins to the game, a perfumer skin called Mio Amakura and her accessory Memo, It will be available separately and also I believe in a package. I'm not sure if this package will include the geisha skin or not, but I think it doesn't, because there's also going to be a geisha skin called Sai Kurosawa, and that will also be available to be purchased in the store, I think. I'm not sure if you can't purchase this individually. It's interesting. There's going to be an event as usual. It's going to be a minor event. I think there might be a special mode though, because if you participate and complete battle quests and photo taking quests, you can receive portraits, portrait frames, and more rewards. The game Fatal Frame 2 is a game that is based around taking photos of ghosts to kind of destroy them, to defeat them. The more photos you take of them, the less health they have. So I do understand why we have to do this photo taking thing. I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do. Is it going to be a special game mode, or is it going to be something minor? It will be interesting anyway. This week, according to the patch notes from last week, Natties has said that we are supposed to be receiving all of those adjustments that we've been talking about for quite a while, that have been in the test server for at least a week or two. This is going to mean all of the persona web traits that we've talked about in last week's video, and I also kind of tested out some of the effects on the stream over the weekend. We're also going to be getting some of those map changes that also you guys have seen videos, I think, on Twitter and stuff like that, and I did cover some of them on the stream as well. And we'll be getting the character adjustments that I promised you guys we would talk about today, because some of those numbers have been changed. I also want to clarify that some of the persona web trait numbers have also changed over the last week or so. They've nerfed some of them and they've buffed some of them, adjusted some of the effects. I will be showing them, I think, on the screen right now, so if you want to see what they've changed already, and there are some more changes that I think are not visible on this photo as well, but those are some interesting changes for sure. Postman is going to get an adjustment, a bit of a nerf. His tranquility letter is going to reduce from a 20% buff to a 10% buff. I believe this is his decoding buff, so it's going to make him less of a strong decoder. Quite a major debuff. They've taken away 10% instead of 5%. Interesting. Antiquarian's usage rate, I'm assuming for her swings, is going to be changed from 13% to 15%, so now it's going to consume more of her energy to use her abilities. She is quite a strong survivor right now, so I guess they just want to nerf her a tiny bit so she can't just spam them as often. Prospector is going to have a buff as far as I understand, because they've removed his decoding debuff and they've also reduced his healing debuff from 20% to 10%. So he's a little bit faster to heal up now, and that's kind of cool. Prospect is getting kind of a lot of adjustments recently. Perfumer is going to get a buff as her healing debuff has been changed from 30% down to 15%. So now it's going to take much less time to heal her up now. That's kind of a big change. And her item cooldown, so her perfume, has been reduced by 1 second, if I remember correctly. Mechanic has had a bit of a buff, where her vaulting speed debuff has been changed from 30% to 15%, and now if you include the new persona web trait where you can vault, I think it's still at 15% on max. This means that Mechanic can now technically be a normal vaulter if you take that perk with you, because it will be a 0%, so normal vaulting speed. That's really interesting to see that Mechanic is going to be an okay kiter nowadays. Dancer's music box is apparently going to be weaker, although they didn't really seem to say what the number is, and they've also increased the time it takes for, I think, for a hunter to break the box. Dancer also will not be able to spin whilst decoding. You'll have to get off the cipher machine and then do your spin escape thing. Clerk has had her invalid ability, that is the ability that means that you can't interact with anything that she's playing a recording on, and it's been reduced to 9 seconds. I can't remember what it was before. Her recording can now only last for 2 seconds on an object, so I think that means that she can only reduce 2 seconds worth of decoding, and her inspect has 1 second added to its cooldown. Hermit has had both a buff and a nerf as far as I understand, as his polarity change cooldown has been increased by 20 seconds. I think that is how long it takes before a survivor is able to change their polarity from either blue to red. I think it used to be 40 seconds and now it's going to be 60, or maybe it was 50 to 70 now, I'm not really sure, but it's an extension, so that's a buff for him. And his nerf is that his cipher machine decoding debuff that used to be 14% has now been reduced to 7%, so it's halved. So now it will be much faster to decode against a hermit. Smiley Face, as far as I can tell, has had a buff here, because Flywheel will now interrupt his rocket dash. Before, it would just be absorbed as if he hit a wall and it would not reduce his cooldown. I believe now this will mean that if someone uses a flywheel effect to be able to dodge a hit from his rocket dash, it will maybe put him into the shorter cooldown, same way that Enchantress would interrupt it and he would go into a faster cooldown. And they've also now made it so there are 2 guaranteed spawns for rocket parts. That's good. I'm not sure. I don't really play him in quick match. I often play him in duo hunters mode, so that's interesting. Another change that's coming to the maps is that roller coaster has been nerfed. They've added a movement speed debuff now when you get off of the roller coaster, as long as you've been riding on it, where you have a 15% movement speed decrease for 5 seconds. This is both both for hunters and for survivors. So it means that you won't be able to transition as far away after getting off of a roller coaster. And they've also increased the roller coaster cooldown time from 20 seconds to 33 seconds. So they are really trying to nerf roller coaster. This week as well, it's already came out, but I wanted to tell you guys there is a composer competition on Twitter, on Identify's official Twitter, where you can win up to 10 season 24 essences. So make sure you guys go over there and compete if you are artistically inclined. Let's talk about some leaks and some rumors. There are lots of little things flying around. A lot of them are people just suggesting things and rumors that aren't really clear if they're even true at all, but there are some things that we can tell. Not too long ago, we had the reveal of 2 skins for the Kamati Moon crossover. That is the steampunked one. These skins are the BQ skin and the toy merchant skin that looked very fancy. We've also had a trailer teaser possibly suggest that these characters will be getting skins as well in future parts, because apparently there's going to be 2 or 3 parts to the Kamati Moon crossover. There's going to be a mercenary skin, possibly a perfumer skin, a soul weaver skin, and a sculptor skin. Unless these are just concept ideas that were revealed for no real reason, these characters might be receiving skins, and I must say the soul weaver one does look pretty cool indeed. Moving on to the talk in the manor, where I respond to your comments that you guys left on my recent videos. Ajax Pingree says, I'm worried about this making the game even more survivor-sided. It's hard enough already with team players, but if every team has near perfect coordination, then it's a lot harder to confuse them. A lot of people were very worried about all of the perks that I talked about, all the persona web traits that we talked about that come into the game this week, as I understand. People were very worried that the way that I presented it meant that it was going to be really OP against hunters. You do need to remember that hunters have also received some buffs and changes to their persona web traits as well, meaning that there are some things that hunters will be able to do compared to others. And the information that you do get as a solo queue player if you take these persona web traits is very, very valuable, but it's not constant information. It's almost constant information, but there are different kind of things that you need to be at. For example, you need to be injured, or it needs to be end game, or so on, so on, so on. It's not information that will always tell you where everybody is, but you will get a lot more information than you already have. I don't think it's going to be absolutely broken, but I do think this is going to be an improvement for solo queue survivors. Which skin are you most excited for this new crossover, the Fatal Frame or Project 02 crossover? Tell me down in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe while you're down there, and check out the Black Phoenix IDV channel that you'll be able to see in the description of this very video. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye bye.